Hey everyone, it's Dominique and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a minute since I last filmed a YouTube video. It's been about a year since last summer and a lot has happened in a year. I just recently finished my second year of college at Villanova University, which I absolutely love, and that entire school year was filled of so many different things, so many once-in-a-lifetime experiences, things I never thought would happen, and a lot of lessons that I learned. And I feel like it's really important that I share all that with you guys. For a bit of summary, my first semester I was on campus. I took a lot of courses that I absolutely love. Now that I'm getting more into my major, I'm getting a lot more into the neuroscience-y courses. By the way, I'm studying neuroscience at Villanova pre-med. It's so good. I met so many amazing people. I learned a lot of very cool things, and I'm so grateful for this and the way it played out. Spring semester was completely different. The entire semester I was preparing for spring because I studied abroad in Madrid, Spain during the spring semester. This study abroad experience was the best thing that has ever happened in my entire life. For as long as I could remember, I have always had the plans and I have always wanted to study abroad. And so once I got into the spring semester and based off of my personal courses and everything that I need to do in order to fulfill my requirements to graduate, I decided to study in the spring of my sophomore year. I could not be more grateful for that entire experience and everything I was able to do. A little bit more info, I studied in Madrid, Spain through the IES Abroad program. More specifically, the Engineering, Math, and Science program. And the reason why I personally chose Spain was because I felt like it was a country that, I don't know, whenever I looked at a world's map and I was just like, okay, which country is calling me? Which one do I feel a part of my destiny lies in? And it was Spain. Just something about what I had already known about the country and just like the overall aura of it all, I just felt like really aligned with me, and that's why I chose it. And I really wanted to study abroad because I felt like having an experience like that where I was forced to live in an area that is completely different from what I'm used to would be of such a great value to my life. So I'm currently studying in Philadelphia, but I live in Miami, Florida, two very different places. But the thing is, I felt like staying in the United States was limiting me a little bit because I've been raised with like the American mentality of like go, 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 keep chasing your dreams, which is like something I definitely promote. But I feel like it's also important to see how people live differently in terms of living more of a simple, peaceful life and being able to appreciate the two different sides of things. So that's why I ultimately decided to go ahead with Spain. I chose the IES Abroad program because it was a lot more of a STEM focus, and being pre-med, I knew that I wanted to continue to maintain my rigorous course load, even if it was a little less rigorous than what I'm typically used to. But being in this program, it did allow me to continue to surround myself with people that are involved in the STEM field, but also be able to grow in this specific field in terms of being more culturally aware. Pre-med student, a huge part of our careers is being able to develop a great sense of empathy for your coworkers, your patients, just being able to promote that. And I knew that allowing myself to become more culturally aware would help promote this empathy in my life. I knew it was something of great importance that I really wanted to prioritize doing. Okay, so to explain a little bit more about what exactly I did during my study abroad program, the way that my program was set up was that we had classes Monday through Thursday. I was taking a total of 5 classes to fulfill the requirements I had to complete during my time abroad. I took a theology course, one neuroscience elective course, a Spanish course, a course called Spanish for Health Studies, and a history course. So all of these classes ran through the Monday and Thursday schedule, and I had such great professors. I absolutely adored them. I was able to learn a lot from them because it's so interesting to understand the way that education is approached in different countries. And so it's very similar to the US, and they probably do this to appeal more to American students to make the transition between studying in the US and studying in a foreign country a lot smoother. But I really loved all my professors and I loved all the classes I took. I learned a lot, and it's definitely a bunch of information that I'm taking with me now that I'm back in the US. Since we only had courses from Monday through Thursday, that gave me an entire weekend plus an extra day to travel and do basically whatever I wanted. And for me personally, my biggest priority while studying abroad was to be able to travel to as many places as possible. I have traveled abroad with my family, but we've stayed more so in the Latin American countries, and I'd never been to Europe. So I knew that since I had this opportunity to basically live in Spain for 6 months, I wanted to take advantage of that because it's so much cheaper, it's so much easier, and I just feel like since I am younger, I'm gonna be able to do a lot more things and a lot more complex travel routes. So I definitely knew that I wanted to prioritize doing this, and after the entire experience, I can tell you did that. In total, I traveled to a total of 16 countries, I think it was. And so yes, I'm looking at my notes app right now, and I traveled to England, France, Spain, of course, Italy, Morocco, Belgium, Portugal, Romania, Malta, Ireland, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Switzerland, Poland, Hungary, and Greece. This is something I am so incredibly grateful that I was able to do because it completely surpassed all the expectations I had for study abroad. I was being very intentional with all this travel. I knew that since I did have this amazing opportunity to have all these experiences, I wanted to be able to get as much of them as I possibly could. I set myself end goals to just be able to maximize my time there. And so, for example, one of my goals was that I wanted to meet at least one new person in each country I went to. And when I say meet, I mean that I wanted to have a very non-surface level conversation with them. I tried my hardest to do this as much as I possibly could in each country I went to. And so, for example, when I traveled to Ireland with my friend Shania, we made it our goal to try to meet as many Irish people as possible because Irish people, they're great. They're so amazing. And so we just really wanted to get to know them more. And so we got to meet the bartender at Temple Bar, and he told us all about like him working there and all that. And then also we met a worker of this really cute thrift shop that's right next to Temple Bar, and he was telling us about like European travel culture and how he hadn't necessarily traveled that much, but he really wanted to travel to Amsterdam, which is where we were going. And then also we met this very nice girl that worked at the Live Aid exhibition, and she was just telling us about how she got into the job and like her whole love for Live Aid and everything that that whole organization has to stand for. And yeah, it was just so nice being able to get to know all these people and really trying to maximize all the places that we were in. Besides all of the amazing people I got to meet, there was so much food, amazing food that I got to eat. I'm a girl that can eat. I love me a little snack, a little entree, like everything. I just love food. And so I know that a great way of immersing yourself into a culture is by getting to know the kind of foods they eat, their cooking techniques, and I feel like their overall philosophy when it comes to food. And so one thing I really appreciated about my time in Europe was getting to know like the Mediterranean cuisine. So I love to eat like a lot of like vegetables and just like I guess like real food. And even though I do love my red 40, it was so nice to get to know how that food culture is much different compared to the US. I got to try so many amazing food I would have never envisioned myself to try. For example, when I was in Greece. Greece, if you didn't know, it was my dream destination. I love Mamma Mia. And so I really wanted to just maximize the trip. Each restaurant I went to, I had to try something different because I knew that I would be tempted to have the Greek salad at every single restaurant I went to, but I was like, no, I had to try new things. And so I tried, forgive me if I pronounce any of these wrong, but moussaka, which is like this meat pie with potatoes. Amazing. I missed so much. And then also I had this grilled squid that was stuffed with feta and peppers. So good. So good. And so I'm so glad that I like prioritize trying new things, getting outside of my comfort zone, trying something on the menu that's more so I can immerse myself culturally rather than fulfilling any cravings. And then eventually, once I started getting introduced to all the different foods, that's when I started craving it. I was just getting more excited, like each different place that I tried to when I was abroad. And I'm definitely taking a bunch of these recipes with me. Like, I literally just ate a Greek salad. Like, it's feta is always stuck in the fridge. Trust. And then besides just the food, I loved all of the once in a lifetime experiences I got to have. Oh my gosh. Like I'm trying to think back, like Ibiza. Going to Ibiza in my 20s with a huge group of people, all of us staying in one Airbnb and just having the weekend of our lives. It was an amazing trip and I just had so much fun. I thought in my 20s that I'd be able to live the I took a pill and a beef and I got to, and it was literally the best experience ever. Like I loved that trip so much. And then also got to fulfill one of my life dreams of riding a camel through the Sahara. What? I still can't believe I did that. Like that was so amazing. And so study abroad really impacted me because it allowed me to see that like all of these experiences that I thought I could only dream of, I could make a reality. So that definitely changed my approach to life and understanding that whatever I want, I can attain. And so I feel like it's just really fueled me to continue on this path of just enjoying life and taking everything that life has to offer, like putting a really big grip on it and just taking it, you know? And so yeah, there's so many other experiences that I got to experience when I was abroad, and I'm just so grateful for them. Like, I cannot believe I got to do so many of these things. Like, I'm remembering when I went to Maleta, which is Portuguese island, and me and my friends, we were just under the stars in the middle of the night, and the clock struck 12, and it was my friend's birthday. And just being able to be there along the shore, the sound of the waves, the twinkling stars in the sky, like, and we had music playing on my friend's phone, and it was just one of those moments that I will never forget. And I'm so grateful that study abroad gave me the opportunity to have experiences like that. And so now that I've talked about everything that I got to experience when I was studying abroad, I feel like it's very important to assess what lessons I learned. And so one lesson that I really learned was that I really got to understand my behavior as a person, and I got to reflect on aspects of myself that I wanted to change and things that I wanted to reinforce. When I was abroad, I took around with me my own like little journal, and so this is, I know a lot of people do study abroad journals where they like put all the things that they collected and all that, and I did collect many things, but I like to keep mine in a box because I feel like it's more secure that way. And so I used my journal as more of a reflective journal, and every single place I went to, I had that book with me, and every single time I had a thought or like something I really wanted to just to understand a little bit more, I was just writing. Through all these reflective moments I got to have, I understood that I have a lot of people pleasing tendencies, and I feel like having this realization while being abroad really allowed me to understand value and putting the time into and attention into the things that I want. I feel like for me at least, I have a very big tendency of wanting to care for people and sometimes putting other people's needs before mine. And so being abroad really showed me that it's important that I put value in what I need when I need it most. And so I think it's very important to understand that there needs to be a balance between listening to all of your wants and needs while also being able to prioritize the wants and needs of others. And so this is something that I've been practicing a lot. And I feel like having this realization that I can have some people pleasing tendencies is very much impacting the way I navigate through life. And it's a very powerful realization I had. And these realizations came from like the little things that I brought, like deciding where we were going to travel. I'm just really happy I had that realization because I feel like it's definitely impacting my life now and the way I approach life. And another thing I learned was the power of allowing yourself to live a little, but then also being able to jump back into your routine. So I feel like when you're abroad, a lot of people promote like a YOLO mentality, like, oh, when's the next time that we're gonna be in France in our 20s? It's like a lot of people are enabling that mentality, which I think is a beautiful thing because it's motivating us to do more, to maximize our time, to not think so much about like the consequence, to just go for it. And I absolutely had this mentality when I was abroad, and I'm so glad I did it because it also allowed me to appreciate the beauty in routine. I feel like when I'm at school and I'm constantly go studying, doing all this stuff, I always wish that I could just be somewhere else, that I could be doing something else, that I wouldn't have to that I wouldn't that I wouldn't have any responsibilities, I wouldn't have any obligations. And so once I was in a setting in which I didn't have those responsibilities or obligations, it allowed me to truly appreciate, wow, I really do like those responsibilities, and I like having something that I need to work for, you know? And so I think there was so much beauty in allowing myself to have those YOLO moments. But then once I got back to the US, I instantly jumped back into my routine of regular scheduled loneliness. And so I love being able to have this duality in which I'm able to live life to my fullest and not really care too much, but then once I really need to care, I can lock back in. And this has been one of the most productive summers. I think it's been the most productive summer of my entire life. Even though like I thought like, oh, study abroad is gonna like throw me off course of anything, like it's gonna be hard to get back in the smooth of things because I'm gonna be missing Europe and all that. But like no, it's allowed me to appreciate the time that I do have back home with my family and with all of the great things I'm also able to do here because I'm very much the kind of person where I do see the beauty in all opportunities. And so I appreciated Europe for what it was. But once I left Europe, I wasn't feeling like homesick towards Europe because I felt so whole here. And then the same thing could be said when I was abroad. I wasn't feeling homesick to like South Florida because I was like, there's so much to go on here. Why would I be sad? So it's like I feel like it's very important to just promote optimism and just enjoy things for what they are and seeing the opportunity and beauty in everything. So another thing that I learned was the importance of appreciating the beauty in everything. So when I was abroad, there were so many instances where it was just like, this is not it. Like, this is just not it. Like, I'm thinking about the nights that I had to sleep in the Lisbon airport because we didn't want to pay for a hotel. And I think there was such beauty in that. Like, I just, even though it wasn't glamorous, we were on the floor, we were scared that somebody was gonna rob our stuff. It was so much fun just having like a little adventure moment and just like enjoying the beauty in that and just understanding that everything ultimately happens for a reason. I'm a very big promoter of this. I think that when it comes to our lives, we have a specific plan set out for us, but we have a responsibility to make decisions that will help us, that will help maintain us on this path. I feel like even if you do make the wrong decision in some instances, because we're human, we're not perfect, I feel like it's also important to be able to recognize that there is beauty and even the not so glamorous side of things, and even in the scenarios that we don't think necessarily went our way. When I was abroad, this was just so highlighted to me because I just was so happy with where I was at that it was like nothing could tear me down and nothing could take away from the pure joy that I was feeling in every single moment. I feel like just being in Europe and just being out of my regular routine just allowed me to see that there's so much more to life than what we know, that there might be so much anxiety to a bunch of different areas in our lives, but there's so much out there that it's like it makes your problems feel smaller. It definitely put things into perspective for me to understand that the life I live here is not everything. People in other countries are living completely different realities, and I think that being able to have this moment to understand this, it was very humbling, but it was also very reassuring, understanding that any problems that we may have here, it's not everything. Like, the world keeps turning, the days keep going, like, there's always tomorrow, and you still have all opportunities. So many opportunities in life, and I think that's a very beautiful thing, and just appreciating just how diverse and just how wonderful this world is. Now that I'm back in the US and it's post abroad, I feel like it's so important in order to truly take advantage of this opportunity I had to just prioritize applying all the lessons I learned. And so how will I apply this to my life, you may ask? Ultimately, I'm applying this by just putting more priority in what I want and I need, understanding that there's no limitations to anything, that quite literally anything is possible, and just pushing forward and doing everything I possibly need to achieve all my goals. I didn't think it was possible for me to travel every single weekend like I did, and I did it. I didn't think it was possible for me to go out on a Monday night, and I did it. So I think it's just so important to not place any limitations on yourself and just allow yourself to be a lot more open-minded to things and just take life as it comes and not take it too seriously. One thing that I think that everybody that's studying abroad needs to understand is that study abroad will change your life if you allow it to. If you are open to new opportunities, new different paths that may come ahead of you, and not necessarily doing things according to what people expect of you, it can completely change the trajectory of your life. I feel like a lot of us allow for external expectations to provide only one path of life. But I think once you start thinking about what you truly want, there's so many new things that can happen to you and new things that you can create, experience, and just enjoy. And I feel like it's so important to be able to just be open-minded and allow things to play out the way they play out. And just not thinking about it too much. Don't stress about it too much because our lives are so short that we just need to be able to make the most of it. And so yeah, that's my video on my study abroad experience. This was, like I said multiple times in the video, the most rewarding time ever. And I definitely encourage everybody that watched this video to study abroad. Go check out your university, see what programs they have to offer. There's so many different things for you to do. There's something for everyone, ultimately. And so yeah, I definitely recommend it. And if you have any experiences studying abroad, be sure to leave that in the comments. I would love to get to know how your study abroad went and how you approach things because I feel like there's so much value in that. And so yeah, thank you so much for watching this video and I'll see you next time. Bye!